Hi, everyone. I'm here with Mark Simon Willsher, who is our engineer on the Pauline Inspired project. He is a wonderful engineer, rock star engineer, Golden Reel Award recipient. He has worked on many, many projects, and we were so lucky and fortunate to have him. So, Mark, would you describe for our listeners what it's like to work on a project like this, please?
This project was more unique than many in the sense because with what happened because of COVID, where we weren't together in the same location.
Right.
And you were also in a venue that you had never been in before.
Right.
So that was quite, I felt like we overcame a lot of potential hurdles to get this done at a time when so many things were sort of making it like it wouldn't be possible.
Yes.
But yeah, so with the location things were, made it quite a lot different. But, ultimately it's, it was really some interesting new music that I hadn't heard before. Not new music, but new to me. And that was very nice.
You were telling me a little bit before this call about what you look for when you record.
Oh yes, well for me there is always the main goal is to have the technology and the recording process be invisible and not part of it, so that whether it's you as the performer performing, that you're not distracted by that, and then on the listener side as well, that there's nothing in the recording that is affecting the listener's ability to experience the music. So in the case of a vocal record like this, it's very important to select the right microphone and the right signal chain for the voice, so that it, we capture the sort of a natural sound, but something that's flattering, and that is not basically shows you at your best and doesn't distract with technology.
The focus is on the performance. Yes, and that's very helpful for the performers as they are recording, because you feel very vulnerable because it's so different from what you usually do. It's really sort of a different beast. You're not, and you seem to be focus on all the wrong things. So it's really important that's your focus as an engineer, I think, for the performers. And we had a lot of doubts about the venue as we arrived there. We were very scared with the acoustics, and we didn't know what was going to happen until the last minute. We had our engineer who was on site, because we had to have two, since you couldn't make it to France because of COVID. And the engineer who was in France had a modem lined up that he didn't get until the last minute, until he drove off. It was all very sort of just really came together in the last minute, and it made it very stressful in some ways, but also very special when I look back, because it just felt like it was meant to be and meant to happen no matter what the obstacles. We found out later that the whole time Alberto had not been well, and it was just everything, but somehow everything was, all the obstacles were overcome. Exactly. We overcame all these obstacles, and there were many, and we were able to be there and make music. And what was really special to me was that everybody gave with a lot of generosity. We had a musicologist there, we had the engineers, we had people who were doing logistics, things like food and driving, and everyone just was laying their ego aside and giving it all for the project. And it was just a wonderful moment that I will always treasure. I wanted to ask you, so you said what you liked was that you discovered new music. Was there any other thing that you remember about the session that was memorable to you, that was a favorite moment?
It's hard to say what was the favorite moment in the session. I know it was one of the things that I don't think you were aware of at the time, is that I had the connection that we had, which was via modem, was okay, but there were times when I would lose things and not hear things. And so, but of course I had to just just, know that what was around what I was losing was sounding really good. So I had to trust that what I wasn't hearing was also good. And Fred, who was the engineer on site, he was great, because every day when you guys got back to the house, he would upload everything to me so I could listen to it,
Right.
in the evening. And then if there was something, then we could address. I think there was only one thing actually we did go back and address after all, so which was really pretty minimal. Me on that side, it was sort of the whole thing was slightly on edge.
Yes, it was a very sort of edgy moment with everything. For us, I traveled from California to France, and with it was just really the thick of COVID, all the paperwork and all the testing, and then we drove from Spain, and it was just with Alberto, and then we had different people who came from different parts of France who also needed to sign forms and tests and all of that. And it was always sort of like, well, if anything goes wrong, this isn't going to happen. So it just felt so wonderful that it did happen. It really did. I wanted to ask you what you're working on now.
Oh, right now I'm working on a musical, which is a prequel to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
That just sounds awesome.
It's going to be great, but it'll be more here until it's.
So are you working on the? Is that a movie or is it a recording? Yes. Okay. Yes, Mark does a lot of movies, so I'm not surprised. But this is awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, and thank you so much for being part of that project. It's really become so wonderful, all the support we've had, and just discovering this woman. And because when we set out, we thought we just find nice music to play together with Alberto, but it turns out we discovered just an amazing personality. And I don't know if you saw in my social posts, but we are about to meet her great-great-granddaughter in our Geneva concert. Yes, she lives in Geneva, of all places, which is my hometown, right? And so we're having a concert there, and through just people who were kind enough to let us know, we found out that she lives there. So it's just super exciting to us, because we can discover the person behind the composer, and we never would have expected this project to become so special to us. So thank you so much, Mark, for being part of it.
My pleasure.